Okay, so functions for sequence types. So first of all, sequence types method, so sequence types are objects which has a sequence of elements, a sequence of like characters. And if you talk about the strings, a string is also considered as an sequence type object because it contains the sequence of characters. List is also a sequence type object because it contains the sequence of elements. Okay, so these are some of the operations that we can perform on sequence type objects, like len, len, and we pass the list in this method, and it returns the length of the list. So for example, how many number of elements are stored or in the list. Similarly, if you have two different lists, list 1 plus list 2, you can have the, let's say, list of computer science students, list of engineering students, and you want to combine them both to represent a new list which specify that these are the students enrolled in computer science and CSE 1010 course. Okay. Similarly, min list determines the minimum element in the list. So for example, if your list contains the ages of the of people, then you can determine who is the youngest person in the list. What is the youngest age in the list? Similarly, max determines the maximum. Sum list sum all the elements stored in a list, and list index value. So for example, if a person or if any element is stored in a list, you would want to determine where is that particular value stored at, what index. Okay. Similarly, list count value, if you have like a multiple number of multiple values, multiple elements, same it is occurring multiple times in the list, we can count the number of their occurrences. Okay. So these are some examples. So this is how we create a list. We have already seen that. Again, another way of creating a list using the iterable object. Okay, so if we have, for example, 1, 2, 3, it creates a list containing 3 elements. Okay, and my list start and it get a new list containing some of another list elements. So this is a specific way of creating a new list or extracting certain number of elements from the list from the start index and end index. This is what we call slicing. We will be talking about it later. Okay. Again, concatenate, we can concatenate or we can merge two lists together. First list and then second list, you can see 1, 2, and this is the second list containing only one element. We can join them together with the help of this plus operator. Okay, so it will merge both the lists together and create a new list containing 3 elements. Alright, similarly, we can also update. Okay, so we haven't seen that actually. So we can also update any particular element. So for example, in order to update the element placed at, let's say this one after this state, I can update this element by calling ages, and I can access the element with the help of indexing. So ages 0 means I'm accessing that particular element and assigning a new value. Let's say I'm assigning updated. So this is the string that will be assigned to the element placed at index 0. So here it is 13. So it will be it will now be replaced with this string updated. So let me print the updated state, updated, and write ages. If I run this, you see the element at the 0th index is updated from 13 to this string. Okay, so this is how we can update the elements in the list. Okay, and list.extend, again, these are some examples. You can go through it yourself. We have already discussed this. Insert, remove. Okay, so remove is also another procedure of removing an element by a value. So pop, what does pop do? What is the difference between pop So pop, first of all, if we do not specify any index, it would remove the last element from the list. Okay. If we specify the index, it would remove that specific value that is placed at that index. But what if we do not know the index of the value, but we know the actual value? So for example, I know I have the students' names, and I do not know what is the index of those names. Okay, so I can just specify the exact value. So it would remove the first occurrence of that value. We may have the same name multiple times in the list. It would start reading the list from left to right, and wherever it finds the first occurrence of that particular value, it will remove it. Okay, so for example here, 5, 8, 14, these are the values. So 8 is the value which is placed at index number 1. So when I execute this method, remove 8, it would remove that particular value, 8. Okay, and if I would have multiple 8 in the list, the first one would be removed only. Okay, list.sort. So sorting actually arranges all the elements in a sorted order. So if you have like elements 14, 5, 8, if you run this method, it would arrange them in a sorted order, 5, 8, 14, and the ascending order. Okay, and this thing, reverse method, arranges them all the elements in the reverse order. Okay, any question?